Hello, my name is Lucas. I'm here to give you a small little review on a lightsaber I bought, and I thought the quality on it was so good that I would talk about it. I don't normally do reviews. I think I've done one other review in my whole entire life, and it was on something completely different. It was on an iPad. I do a lot of drawing and graphic illustrations for work and hobby and other things. And so I bought two different types of Paperlike screen covers for my iPad, and regardless of the review wasn't very good. It was just, I was so annoyed with the Paperlike that no matter how many times I cleaned my screen, no matter what I did, there was always some kind of dust in it that would cause these little bubbles, and it was annoying. But anyway, that's off the subject. What I want to talk about is this thing. So there are so many different lightsabers out right now that you can get that are fun, and I mean, they do what they do. They're lightsabers. I think my first experience with the lightsaber was from a company called Saberforge. I bought one a long time ago when they first started coming out, and it didn't have sound, it just lit up, but the hilt itself was so beautiful, and it was well crafted. It was all aluminum, and it felt better than anything that was being sold on the market, which were like the FX lightsabers before the Black Series and everything. They were real bulky. Well, and then I think the next lightsaber I got was a Saberforge again, but this was at a Comic-Con, and it was a red one with sound. And then I got a mystery box a few years later, and it was a green one with sound. Obsidian board, and they run with these little rechargeable batteries. It was alright. I've enjoyed them. I passed them along to my nieces and nephews. They become great little pocket stuffers as presents. But I did buy from one of my nieces on a cosplay that we made for her. She was Bo-Katan in the last Comic-Palooza in Houston in 2022, and so and I went as Din Djarin, and so I've been wanting to get myself a Darksaber. The Darksaber we got her was the Black Series from Hasbro, and it's a really nice lightsaber. I was pretty impressed with it when she got it, but it was very loud, and I thought gesture control wasn't trying to do that. I even turned it off. That's the one complaint I have with this lightsaber. Second complaint. There's one more I'll talk about in a minute. The blade on the Hasbro one is, you see where this black film is? That's probably how wide it is in thickness and width, and it instead of coming down in a notch here like this does, giving it kind of like the blade look, especially from the show, it's actually more centered and comes straight, and then does this smaller thing on the top where it curves up like a blade. The other thing is the LED is squared right on, it's almost flush, so the beam of it is not as vibrant as this one. The sound is not even close as this one. The other thing I had an issue was the hilt for the Black Series is extremely heavy, so much so that it takes away from the fun. Again, so my one thing I'll probably throw out to the community here, if you own the TXQ Darksaber with the SM4, drop a comment. Tell me if you found a way to handle the gesture control, because man, this thing, once it's on awake, the thing loves to turn on and turn off with the gestures. So well, go back to what I was saying about the Hasbro one. So the Hasbro is extremely heavy, to the point where I wasn't having much fun playing with it. And then the blade itself is very flimsy. It wobbles when you move it left and right. This blade is much thicker. It does it does wobble a little bit, not as much. The other small little thing that it has is you have these two little screws right here. Let's see if I can get it in here. See that? Okay, so those are the lock nuts that locking screws that lock this in place. There's one on the front and back. It holds it in really well. The problem is when you swing it and you do like a chopping action, you can feel it rattle. That's not the best, but it doesn't really move. And if you really want to fix that, you can get a little scotch tape, and wrap it in the back part of it, and it'll secure a little better, though it makes it tight going in. And so, you know, give and give, give and get. So again, that's gesture. So that'll lead us on to how bright it is. You can hear it over my voice. It's pretty loud. This is the Darksaber font first. I like using this one because it's, of course, the Darksaber. You see, look at that. I'm not even really moving my wrist very fast. I can kind of hear it moving with every flip. I hit the button there. So it has like blaster effect. And then drag. You can't really tell. Maybe if I put my hand right here, you can see it showing the change color. Kind of cool. Turn that off for a second. If you want to change colors, you see the blue button here. You hold it for a second.
Ignition 2.
Oh wait, that's wrong. It's ignition. So it just changes how the ignition shoots out. So it's gonna. I think it's the auxiliary button you hold. You tap that. Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna hold it to change the ignition again.
Ignition 2.
All right. So that one I think is a little bit better. You can see how the blade kind of bends a little bit. Let's see if I can hit the top there. I have too much fun with these things. Alright. Gesture control. I turn that off in the app. I toggle it off. I turn the sensitivity down. And the thing still wants to turn on. It's like play with me. So you can tap through the auxiliary button just by tapping this little button right here. See? Let's see if you can see it. It's right there. It's the middle one. So you just tap again. And then tap again. I guess that's Kylo when he turns good, right? Technically, his name should have been Jaden, and then they should have had Gray as Jaina. Is that how you pronounce her name? Jaina. Anyway, in my opinion, Disney totally missed out on a really good chance to make some money off of just animating or even live action filming some of those old books, and those are stories. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Everybody's has their own, and I'm telling you, man, this gesture control, that was the second complaint I had with this thing, was the gesture control just won't turn off. Anybody knows how to manually turn it off with the button set up, please drop a comment. I would love to know. Other than that, the blade's great. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be something wrong with anything that you buy. But other than that, I think the money for this is so worth the product right now. A few months back, these things were like $500-600. Especially the model that looked very much like this. So there's two versions of this one. There's one called the Darksaber one, which is probably the best one that you could probably buy because it's I think that one still hasn't dropped. It's 740 on up, right? But it has different mounting screws. There's like 2 screws that lock it in here versus the 2 that are up here. It looks very similar to this part, and it uses a very similar internal core, but I think they use a Profi board on it. This one can get a Profi. I don't. I read a lot about them. They're great things, but they're hard to program. So if you're not worried about having a sound font tell you, you'd switch to another one, just kind of knowing by hitting the button by 70 times, and then navigating that way. Again, that gesture control. You see, like I didn't even really move it, and it just turns on. Seriously, the one thing I wish they could fix on this. It might be as simple as an update, but I don't know. I'll find out. Believe me, I like this thing too much not to. But I do recommend, if you are looking for a Darksaber, this is probably the coolest one out there, and it's really good for the bang for the buck. I think you could get the Darksaber at Hasbro right now for $249 or $200, something like that, right? And then if you go to one of the Comic-Cons or Comic-Palooza here in Houston, you're gonna pay like $300 for it. That's what we paid when we went over there. But you know, it's not the sales that you go there for. It's just the experience and the convenience, and then sometimes that spontaneous buy because you're there to spend money. But this could be great for the little costume I have, and yeah, I definitely think it's a nice little centerpiece. I didn't take the nuts out just because I don't really feel like having to retighten and put it back in, but it does make a nice little centerpiece too. Watch telling me random stuff about my day. Anyway, thanks for watching this video all the way through. If you did, if you have any questions, drop a comment. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. If you have this saber, tell me what you think about it, and I'd like to hear about that. I will throw up a minute short once I edit the video down a little bit of this next to the Hasbro one, and then also next to a Saber Forge one. That was interesting. I wanted to see the difference in quality. Saber Forge has been a really cool lightsaber company. They do offer similar blades and stuff like this, but I think their price points are a little higher. That's why I ended up searching outside of that area into overseas, like China. That's, I think, where I got this from, was a Chinese vendor called Trexsabers, which is on the thumbnail, and they're pretty good. They were quick. I mean quick. For coming from China, I ordered this on the 29th of last month, and I got it in last Thursday, and I have not put it down since. I'm always playing with this thing. I think I've had to charge it like 3 times already. Yeah, that's the kid in me. So, lightsabers, you got it.